IGN's Rewind Theater brought to you by Destiny, coming spring 2014. Pre-order now for exclusive access to the beta.
Greetings and salutations, Internet. My name is Jose Otero for IGN, and I'm here with
Brian Albert.
Cool, Brian. We're going to talk about, let's do a quick Rewind Theater for the new trailer for Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. Give the folks some context.
Sure, absolutely. We just went down to Nintendo, what was it, yesterday? 2 days ago? And we saw 4 dungeons. 2 of them we played, and 2 were optional. And in this trailer, we see all 4 of those and some additional stuff. So we're going to run through and tell you what we see.
Okay, cool. So to start, why don't you let folks should know already that these little rifts that show up in Hyrule,
sure,
you can use them to travel between Hyrule and the Kingdom of Lorule.
Mm-hmm. You just warp onto the wall as like a drawing, and you walk through it, and that changes you to the different world. Yep,
and you can transfer. So you obviously choose your path is the idea. So why don't you tell folks what this is right here?
Sure. This is we saw and did not get to play this one. It's called Death Mountain, and it's supposed to be optional. So basically, you see these platforms, and you're falling, and they're moving and crisscrossing, and it actually looks pretty difficult because you have to time it just right. And if you fall and land in the lava, you start over. Especially if you have rented weapons on you, which we'll talk about later. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's definitely. This was in Hyrule. Is that correct?
Yeah. This was Hyrule's Death Mountain. Like Brian said, optional dungeon. Mm-hmm. And we saw also, on top of that, we didn't see this area while we were there. I think this is one of the dungeons we didn't get to go to. Mm-hmm. But if you look here, you see a red sort of. That kind of looks like a vision cone.
Yeah, I was thinking vision cone or some sort of like sonic detection device.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I think it's a vision cone because you see the enemy.
Coming out of there. Okay, there it is.
Yeah, right there. So you have to sneak past them. Now, right here, there's a couple of things to point out. So what's the first thing?
First of all, the fire rod. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
So in A Link Between Worlds, you can rent weapons instead of buying them for a much cheaper price. But when you rent them, if you see the little purple ears on there, they're Ravio's ears. That sort of shows that you do not own this weapon. Mm-hmm. And also, if you don't own it, you can't upgrade it. But we'll get to that later as well.
Okay, got it. And also, so here, this is a standard fire rod, right? Just this is the regular effect. Just pay attention to that.
Yes.
And this little scene is taking place in Lorule's version of what I guess was Death Mountain, because they sort of started our demo in Death Mountain. She went through a rift, and then it was snowing outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the area, if you're not fast forward, but if you just play right here. Mm-hmm. This is where she went next, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
Yep. And so this is another optional dungeon, and you're not worrying so much about like falling these really vast depths, but the pathways are much narrower. You have bats attacking you. You have these spikes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the walkways will just brush past each other, and you have to turn into a painting and slide around them. It was pretty cool. It looked really tricky.
Excellent. Yeah. All right. So here. Just really quickly pointing out again, I'm just going to rewind a little, but you see another rented item. You can always tell that an item's rented, like Brian pointed out earlier, because of Ravio's ears are attached to them. And if you die, you pointed this out, right?
Yeah, if you die, you lose all your rented items. And it's awful. Link's just on the ground, and Ravio's assistant comes by and just scoops them all up and flies off.
Yeah, very painful, because you not only lost time, but you lost money.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you want to try a new dungeon, you have to experiment with those items and see which one works. So you're always buying them and renting them. It can be rough.
And so just also to point out, again, this is a standard bow and arrow. We'll give that more context in a second. So we didn't really see this area, but it does show how merging into a painting on the wall will work with traversal, right? I mean, getting not only around the boulder, but over that chasm that's right there, which is interesting.
Yep. You can dodge things. Not forever, though. You got that energy bar on the side.
That's right, yeah. Yep. And the energy bar dictates, how many times you could use the item, as pointed out.
So this is in the dungeon that I got to, which was... We probably went to the wrong ones because you're much more experienced with Zelda than I am, and yours only had a password to enter. This is in, I believe, Turtle Rock, which to get in, you have to save these 3 turtles and give them to their mother and then climb up them, and she'll give you a ride over here. But anyway, this is, if you can see the little ears right there, that's a good pause. This is the ice rod, the standard one, because you don't have it purchased. It just drops that one ice block down and freezes these lava columns, and you walk across. That was one of the main ways to get around in Turtle Rock.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
And you also, you had played some extra Turtle Rock. Tell the folks at home, what about this thing? Why is he freezing this?
Yeah, so this is basically like a teeter-totter, and if you don't freeze the... Is it fulcrum? That's the middle, right?
Yeah, that's the middle.
If you don't freeze the fulcrum, it'll kind of it would be going down right now, and you couldn't get up to this platform. So like you freeze it, and then you can traverse, up, down, whatever you want to do.
Okay, yeah. So it looks like you'll be kind of splitting your time between freezing these fulcrums and freezing these columns of fire that come out in order to navigate over gaps and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, or just keep going in an upward sort of direction. That's cool. All right, so right here, the only thing we really took away from this is that he's leaving a bomb here for what we could assume was a time switch. I mean, if you listen really close to the audio, when the bomb goes off, you hear a tick, tick, tick. So this was probably a time switch, and just showing, like, that's kind of a staple in Zelda. We've seen that, but that's kind of cool. So this threw us for a loop for a second, because we're like, what the hell is going on here? It took a couple seconds. So first thing to really point out is that if you look behind Link's shield, you see a light source, and you also see it on the wall directly north of him, right? So then, as he continues, and also the one more giveaway here that light kind of matters is that looks like a torch, and you'll see in a second, like, that's pretty much a definitive conclusion. So you see him walking through these pathways. I'm not entirely sure how this works. Maybe that's like a ledge, because he was also careful, like, to walk on it instead of falling off. Like, again, it's really tricky to kind of point out what's really happening here.
And then there's so keep going. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yep. So there, just as you were about to point out, so this was the torch, and turning it off reveals the boundaries of this room and what I can only assume are walls, because then
it's really neat, because then there's a very small crack you can see if you back up. Like, there's one on that middle wall. There's one right here by Link.
Yep.
You squeeze through those as a painting or drawing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right. And so it looks like that's going to be another tricky aspect of navigation and dungeons. So this right here is from Thieves' Den, which is the dungeon that I chose to play. And it was fairly straightforward. This conveyor belt would basically pull me out here, and I would turn into a painting. And then using that, I would have gotten over to the other side. And the reason I was doing that is to activate that switch, which was then going to change the direction of one of the conveyor belts. Okay. That's all I remember from it somewhat. Also, a weird thing to point out, there's a bomb with legs here. And this was really weird, because when you swipe at it, it basically turned into a standard bomb. And that had something to do with the puzzle. I don't want to go too much further with that. But, yeah, that was just one more thing worth pointing out. So now...
Yeah, we're moving into the upgraded items. This is the Mother Mai Mai.
Yeah, that's right.
So around the world, you can find these little baby Mai Mai, and sometimes they're really obvious. Sometimes they're in trees or stuck in a wall or something. And once you collect 10 of them, you can upgrade one of your items as long as you own it. So you can't rent.
So can't upgrade a rented item.
Can't upgrade a rented item. Correct. So it looks like Link just got an upgraded bow here.
Yeah, and it takes, you may have said this, it takes 10 Mai Mai's in order to get this upgraded item. Like, that's the key to part of it. It's not just one per return. And this person has returned 22, according to the marker in the corner.
They're in good shape.
Yeah, we saw this at Comic-Con during Aonuma's panel, and you see there it fires 3. This was kind of an interesting shot right here, because he hits 3 in a row. Yeah, kind of cool.
It'd be tough to get him lined up like that.
Yeah. No, also true. Yeah. Get like a chain. So check this out.
So here we go. So the fire rod that we showed earlier, if you notice this one, it doesn't have the ears on it. Also, it looks a little different, especially at the tip. And that column that it shoots out is taller and maybe wider as well.
Yeah, and it lasts longer. I mean, it was going for a bit there
so
compared to the first one.
Pretty safe to assume that's an upgraded fire wand.
Yeah. Wow. He got burned up.
Yeah. Yep. He doesn't look good there. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So right here, the upgraded ice wand. Then, so if you look at the tip, no ears. Also, the big giveaway. There are 4 pieces of ice falling out of the sky. So you used the ice rod at Turtle Rock, and you were only getting 1 per, right?
Yes. It's to freeze the columns. It would just drop 1 of those down. Okay. This one has 4, so very clearly a better version of what I had.
Cool.
This is actually, I believe, the intro to Turtle Rock.
Okay, the entrance right there. Cool.
And then I didn't do so well in my dungeon, but you did pretty well, you say.
Yeah. And so the gate right there that you see to his right in my demo, I was told that will take me so there's a midpoint to these dungeons, and basically that gate will take you back to the entrance of the dungeon itself. So if you wanted to take a break or something like that, that's was kind of the explanation I got from someone. And that's not uncommon. I believe A Link to the Past had something similar to that, where you can sort of teleport back to the beginning. Or if not, then it's a thing that I made up, but it has appeared in other Zeldas. That's pretty much clear. All right, so
And yeah, I didn't get to the boss of Turtle Rock, but I would assume this is it because it's a turtle and there's lava everywhere.
Yeah, yep. And it looks like a similar setting to where, that attack looks wicked too,
yeah, it does.
there. Yeah, just coming after you.
And then if you keep going a little bit here, so he attacks with the ice wand, and then freezes this pillar here and blocks the turtle's spin attack there.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
I feel like that could be tough. He could just bump you right off the edge.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, and that could get really frustrating, especially with the lava and all that. Great. So that's our Rewind Theater for A Link Between Worlds. Hopefully you got some cool information out of it. We got to see it recently, and it was looking pretty well.
Yeah, I'm ready to play more.
Yeah, so definitely, where can the people find more info about Zelda: A Link Between Worlds?
They can find it at IGN.com.
All right.